Hello there, everybody. Here I have today Chris, who beat cancer naturally. So, could you introduce yourself to us and tell us a little bit about your website and what you're doing right now with it? And let's maybe hear that first.
Okay, so thanks, Jolita, for having me. My name is Chris Wark, and when I was 26 years old, I was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer. And obviously that's not a cancer that very many 26-year-olds get. It's pretty rare. And usually colon cancer is not diagnosed until you're in your 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. But for some reason I got it when I was 26. And a very interesting series of events happened in my life right at that time. I'd been having abdominal pain for about a year, roughly, and I had ignored it. Finally went to the doctor. It was misdiagnosed as an ulcer, so I took some ulcer medication. That didn't help. Went back to the doctor, and the pain kept getting worse, time. And eventually they did a colonoscopy, and they found this golf ball-sized tumor.
Oh, my goodness.
And they did a biopsy on the tumor, and they said, look, you've got colon cancer, and we've got to get you into surgery right away. And there's no time to spare. We don't want this thing to grow or get any bigger, and your life's at risk. So basically, they just kind of scared me into getting surgery to get it removed right away. And I didn't know any better, so I was like, okay, yeah, I guess I'll have surgery. And it's a completely life-changing experience when someone tells you have cancer, because all of a sudden it's like you're dying. So I had surgery, and they removed a third of my large intestine, and they removed the tumor. When they went in, they saw that the cancer had spread to my lymph nodes, and so that meant I was stage 3. When I woke up out of surgery, they told me it was stage 3. They told me the next step would be 9 to 12 months of chemotherapy. And again, at that time, I was like, okay, I guess that's what I have to do.
Mm-hmm.
And, but this is where it starts to get really interesting. So the first meal that they served me in the hospital, after removing a third of my large intestine, right, they cut me open, took out my intestines, cut them up, sewed them back together, put them back in my body, and the first meal they served me was a sloppy Joe.
Oh my God.
Do you know what that is?
It's like a traditional with tomatoes, beef, or something like that.
Yeah, it's like
a burger. It has a bun too, right?
Yeah, it's like a burger, but it's like a meat blob.
Yeah, it's meat blob. It's like not high quality food.
No, and it's something you would get in American public school cafeteria.
Fast food.
So they served me a sloppy Joe, and I don't remember what else was with it. But even then, I remember thinking, is this best food for me right now? And so that was sort of like the first red flag that just made me kind of question the medical system. Because before that time, I had never been sick, never really been in a hospital. I did not have any family members or friends that had ever been diagnosed with cancer, so I didn't have any personal experience with cancer at all. So I ate a little bit of the sloppy Joe or whatever, and I couldn't even finish it. And then about a day later, as I started to get better and they were getting ready to release me from the hospital, the surgeon came in to check on me one last time, and he said, we were just talking, and I said, is there anything I need any food I need to avoid or, whatever? And he was like, no, just don't lift anything heavier than a beer.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and so I was, again, another kind of red flag, because I was thinking,
yeah, it's now after removing third of your colon, he treats it like just nothing, just live your life, eat the foods you ate before, don't change anything, and
that's right. That's right. So I was a little surprised. I mean, he was just making a joke about it, you know?
Yeah, it's like joking.
So I was like, okay, apparently this guy doesn't think diet matters. And you know, instinctively, I knew it did. You know what I mean? We all know. We all know instinctively what healthy eating is.
You are very right.
And what unhealthy eating is. And sometimes it takes a little reminder, you know.
But sometimes we can get lost because, especially in U.S. and Canada and developed countries, you know, now there's, and with the grains, with so many fake foods, products, I got lost, you know. I didn't really knew anymore what was real food, what was healthy. I grew up eating very healthy, and somehow I shifted. I forgot about it because you get influenced by others. You get also, these foods are addictive, and it's easy to forget sometimes.
Yeah, it is easy to get off track. And I was definitely off track at that time. You know, leading up to my diagnosis, I was under a lot of stress, had a lot of negative emotions in my life. I was eating junk food constantly. I mean, I was living on fast food.
Well, you know, and that's what I wanted to ask. So how was your diet before you got diagnosed?
Yeah, I was eating the standard American diet. I was eating, you know, cereal or, you know, sausage muffins or whatever for breakfast. I was eating fast food every day for lunch. So I was eating Burger King, Wendy's, Subway, you know, barbecue sandwiches, whatever. Dinner was usually some kind of microwave food like lasagna or, you know, some microwave meal. My wife and I have been married 2 years, and neither one of us really were into cooking at that time, and we were both working a lot and real busy, and so we were just eating on the go.
Just general, traditional way of eating. How many people eat?
And so anyway, back to the story. So they sent me home, and about a week after I got home, as I was really sobering up, getting off pain medication, you know, kind of getting my senses about me, I was thinking about my life and thinking about what was going to happen to me, and was I going to live? Was I going to see my next birthday? You know, what was I going to do? And as I thought about chemotherapy, you know, I just had this instinctive resistance to it. The idea of poisoning my way back to health did not make sense. Like, it didn't work in my brain. You know what I mean? I couldn't understand it. And even though I understood the way they say it works, I understand the process, I didn't agree with it.
Yes.
And I didn't want to do it. But I didn't know what else to do. And so my wife and I prayed, and we were just like, God, if there's another way besides chemotherapy, will you just please show me, because I don't know what to do, and I'm scared, and I don't help, you know. So 2 days later, I got a book that was mailed to me from a man in Alaska. I live in Memphis, Tennessee.
Uh-huh.
And I got this book called God's Way to Ultimate Health. And so it's just kind of funny because I'm praying like, God, show me the way. And then I get a book called God's Way to Ultimate Health, right? So I figured, I guess I should probably read this book. So I started reading it. And once I was a chapter or two in, I learned that this man who wrote this book, by the way, the guy that sent it to me was not the author. He was just a friend of my dad's. Mm-hmm. But the guy that wrote the book had colon cancer just like me, and 30 years prior, he had refused chemotherapy and refused surgery and radically changed his diet and his life. I
believe everything happens for a reason, and you got that book, and you manifested, you were looking for something. Some people get the information, they get the signs, but they don't take up on it. They don't pass on it.
That's right.
There's so many people who know information, but they don't do the right thing. And to be honest, like my mom, she died from colon cancer, stage 4, started as a gastritis, and then over the years, over 10 years, developed into colon cancer, and then very fast developed into stage 4 from being like mild, like inflammation, gastritis. But she she didn't knew she just didn't, I guess, doctors never emphasized on the diet again, and she was treated with the drugs, and so.
Yeah. Well, so I started reading this book, and this guy had radically changed his diet, and his body healed. Mm-hmm. And so
I believe my mom would be alive today. That's why I really I'm really grateful that you're sharing this information, because it's so important to get this out. And like you got this book, maybe somebody watching this video will, as well be awakened. And
they will. They will. Every time I tell my story, someone hears it and is impacted by it, because it's just a powerful story. So after reading that book, I knew immediately it was an answer to prayer. I knew that's what I was going to do. It was just a very simple solution to my problem. I realized that I'd been poisoning my body. Mm-hmm. I'd been polluting my body with junk food. I realized that I was malnourished, and that my body was starving, literally starving for nutrients, for nutrition. And
your immunity was down.
Yes.
And basically cancer is when your body can't heal itself. I mean, because the cancerous cells go out, they start growing out of, without any order. And I think that's immunity that, can't control them. The leukocytes, right? You don't, you can't protect yourself from these microbes anymore, and so it's number one thing for us to have strong nutrient-rich diet and to maintain strong immunity.
Yeah, that's right. There's two factors that are contributing to cancer, really. I mean, cancer is normal, first of all. It's a natural process. It's normal. Every person has cancer cells in their body. The immune system,
they right now,
it's all about your immune function.
Yeah.
And so if your immune system is functioning properly, it'll recognize cancerous cells, identify them, and eliminate them. But when your body's overloaded with toxins and starving for nutrition, systems break down. And you have inflammation, your immune system is suppressed. And so anyway, that's where it went completely, basically raw vegan. Okay, so raw fruits and vegetables. I was drinking 8 glasses of vegetable juice every day, usually some form of carrot juice with beets and celery and ginger root, and eating giant salads. And I was making fresh coconut and fruit smoothies with a whole young coconut and frozen berries and a banana. And that was my diet every day. And I felt really good on that diet. And I was working with the local nutritionist, a clinical nutritionist, who, after evaluating my blood work and my urine and my saliva and my hair samples, very thorough metabolic analysis, after 90 days, he was like, look, we need to add some clean meat back into your diet. He said, your body type, your blood type, your metabolic type, really, you're going to do a little better if you have some animal protein. And my main problem was I was in great health, but I wasn't able to maintain a healthy weight on a high raw vegan diet. And
but we are not vegans in general as a species, so that's just normal.
Yeah. So we quote normalized a little bit, and so what I did was I went from basically eating about 80% to 90% raw to about 80%, 70 to 80% raw, about 20 to 30% cooked food, but also including some organic meat. And I was eating cooked food at dinner, so like brown rice, quinoa, sweet potatoes, cooked vegetables, just very clean, very healthy kind of diet. And that's what I maintained along with the juicing for several years. And during that time, my body repaired, it regenerated, it healed, and I had, blood work along the way and scans, and everything just got better and better and better. And here I am now, almost 10 years later, cancer-free. I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm the strongest, physically, the strongest I've ever been, and in the best health. So, yeah, that's my story in a nutshell.
And you still maintain the same diet today?
Yep, I sure do. I eat, it has not changed very much since then. I eat a lot of raw fruits and vegetables every day. I eat some meat, not every day, but I eat meat a few times a week. I eat...
fish, too?
Yeah, a wild-caught salmon is my
favorite
fish of choice.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so as far as your colon, it cannot regrow, right? Did you had any digestive issues? Do you still have, or how's the raw vegetables and fruit, everything, it's working out well as far as...
Yeah, I didn't have any digestive problems. I really don't miss what they took out.
Okay.
So it didn't change or affect my quality of life at all, having a third of my colon taken out. The only difference is, because I have a shorter colon, after I eat, I have to go to the bathroom a little sooner than I used to.
Okay.
That's all.
So that's good.
Good.
Yeah, that is good to know, that there is hope, for people who also had, I think that the videos is lagging.
The way the cancer industry works is they use fear to motivate patients to take action. And they use fear to motivate you to get on the conveyor belt.
Yeah.
And that's surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation.
Exactly.
And surgery can be beneficial when they call it debulking. When you take a tumor out, you definitely are greatly reducing the number of cancer cells in your body, which can give your body a jump start to healing. But surgery can be a double-edged sword, because what can happen is when your body is traumatized by surgery, it creates an inflammation response, an immune response, and a healing response that is also pro-cancerous, unfortunately, because your body secretes all these hormones to heal, and it also secretes, raises your inflammation, all this kind of stuff. So what can happen is, after surgery, if you don't change your life, if you just go back to your normal life, then there's a good chance that whatever cancer cells are remaining will keep growing.
Yeah, because if they just like my mom, they cut out the colon and it was really bad, and they had to add the bag.
Yeah, she had to get a colostomy bag.
And when you have colostomy bag, and then she was fed the same old foods. And after such surgery, and when her body was already in a malnourished and very weak state, it just could not heal or repair itself at all, and she just withered away. It's just incredible. I do believe that doctors, and some doctors, they really want patients to get well, but I am upset that they put a blind eye sometimes, just relying onto surgeries or these drugs, which makes them money, and they do expect people to eat healthy, or they promote this dietary guidelines to not eat much sweets and stuff like that. But even the dietary guidelines promotes a lot of bread and gluten, and doesn't emphasize at all on it does emphasize on quality meat. It says lean meats, but still, it's so far away from what really healthy eating should be. It's a lot of empty foods, not meat and sugar.
the USDA guidelines, it's just not enough. They're very generic, they're very broad, they're not specific. And, if you make small changes to your life, small changes to your diet, you may get some benefit. But the only way to ensure that you get the maximum benefit is to make massive changes. Massive action produces massive results. Minimal action will produce minimal results. So, taking a little supplement or cutting out red meat or something, that's not going to make a big difference in your life. Probably. And when you have something like cancer, you cannot afford to take any chances.
There is no other choice.
Do everything.
But basically, so for people, now I know you focus and work on cancer prevention. Of course, you maintaining for yourself. Well, you now are professional at doing that. But it's hard for people sometimes because the excuse is, I don't have time. Basically, if you want to eat healthy, what I see, like right now, I can't eat out because the meats are not organic. The vegetables are usually drenched in like canola oil and they prepared, in ways that not the most nutritious ways or preserving the nutrients. So basically, I guess everybody has to learn to cook. And what's your take on that?
Yeah, well, the biggest challenge, when you're trying to eat healthy, is finding out when and where you can eat. And most people don't have the luxury of eating all 3 meals at home. Many people have to eat on the go and eat out. And so that's really the big challenge. And so, the 2 meals that you can typically control is breakfast and dinner.
Yes.
Right? And even lunch. Any person can bring their own lunch to work. That is still allowed. So,
thank God.
What I've found is that you have to plan to be successful. You have to make a plan.
You have to
planning your meals in advance. And the biggest mistake we make, and I made, of course, is you just get out there in the world and you're working, and then all of a sudden, I'm hungry. Where's the closest place I can get something to eat and fill my belly?
Yeah.
It's okay, Taco Bell, and then there you are in the Taco Bell drive-thru. So, if you don't plan out your meals, then you're going to end up eating junk food. Now, having said that, I do eat out sometimes, and I have a few rules that I follow. When I eat out, I typically will be vegan when I'm eating out. Okay, I'm not a vegan for animal rights reasons or anything like that, but eating vegan when I eat out, which means I don't eat any animals when I'm eating out, typically. That way, if I'm just eating, vegetables, almost anywhere you go now, you can get vegetarian options, which are good.
You can get vegetables, Yeah,
vegetarian or vegan when I eat out. And that's a real simple thing. Same thing when I travel. And, you have to make exceptions when you're traveling and things like that. You just can't be so obsessive about it that it just, you can't even function. You want to become orthorexic, right?
Yes. Some people become orthorexic. That's not healthy too. You have to follow 90-10 rule. At least eating everything healthy 90%. And also I found, people who get, let's say, trying to lose weight, or when you're healing from a disease, there is no other option but to try to eat maybe even 100% everything perfect, But if you can afford, if the condition is not as, I think including some foods, I think, there should be no food forbidden, but just wrong amounts. Like, as far as people who think, so what now? I won't be able to eat ever again a piece of white bread or a cookie or ice cream or yogurt. You can have maybe at least, do you ever have, there is a healthy versions of these foods, Yeah,
I know what you're getting at.
Yeah.
So there's two answers for that question. One is for the cancer patient or someone that's really sick, there is a season in your life where you need to be extremely hardcore and strict. Okay? For the average person, or once you get past that and you get your health back, for the average person, then it becomes really more an issue of just setting standards for yourself and for your health. And so, like you said, 90-10 or even 80-20. If what you're eating 80% of the time is super healthy, then that gives you the freedom to enjoy what I call recreational food, right?
Yeah.
An ice cream every once in a while, or some pizza, or whatever. Like those foods, if you're eating them every once in a while, on occasion, they're not going to hurt you, right? The problem in America is we're eating those foods every day. We're eating pizza and ice cream and hamburgers and hot dogs and chips and soft drinks every day. And those foods will destroy your health.
People live on those foods, In the first place, as a species, we were not meant to eat these foods. And our body doesn't know what to do with it.
Right.
It's like, would you feed a horse hamburgers, So why would you give to children like these candies, refined sugar, and things that you can't pronounce, like foods with chemicals, and that's the problems, arise from that. But yourself, do you do you try to keep high carbohydrate, lower carbohydrate, or more fats? But as I've heard, you said you eat a lot of fruits, so probably more high carbohydrate, because cancer and sugar, it's not goes very well. But
that's a great question. So there are a lot of opinions, right?
I know.
High carb, low carb, sugar, no sugar. The thing is, every cell in your body feeds on sugar. Every cell needs food.
It does.
Cancer cells convert to a process called glycosis, where they feed exclusively on glucose through a fermentation process that happens. And cancer cells have about 17 times more insulin receptors than a normal cell.
Wow.
And so cancer cells love sugar. They especially love refined sugar. Now, the fruit sugar is not, in my opinion, and based on the reading and research I've done over 10 years, and especially the work of Max Gerson, the Gerson therapy is one of the most effective anti-cancer diets, and almost all the anti-cancer diets are built on Gerson's pioneering research. And the Gerson therapy included a lot of fruit sugar. Apple juice, that's fruit sugar. And so I don't worry too much about the sugar in fruits.
Well, they contain nutrients, and carrots are also, well, if you eat the carrots, they're not high sugar. They're not, but when you make the juice, let's say 1 glass of orange juice would have the equivalent of like 30 carrots sugar. So carrots are not really high. And Gerson, that he didn't had like too many like grapes or dates or things like that. He had very high nutritious like beets, tubers, carrots, right? Squash.
And he had his patients would have orange juice. They'd have oatmeal. So I don't think we should be afraid of fruit sugar. I think being a fruitarian is not a healthy diet. Like eating all fruit all day long. I think for a season, for a week or two, it could be beneficial. But for the rest of your life, I don't think it's a good idea.
It's very unbalanced diet.
So you were asking me about ratios.
Okay.
So I'll tell you, like my typical meal today is oatmeal for breakfast with the oatmeal I have will have I'll put some seeds in it, and like pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds and flax seed powder, and I'll put a teaspoon of molasses and a tablespoon of molasses, a tablespoon of raw honey, and some Ceylon cinnamon. So just really
molasses and honey, I think, is the best sugars you could add.
Yes, and dates.
And dates. Me too. That's the 3 sugars I.
Yeah. And so that'll be breakfast, and I'll even chop up some bananas and put a banana in there too. So it's a big bowl of oatmeal.
But you
lunch,
have the seeds too, so that's good. That slows down also the digestion.
Yeah. For lunch, I'll make usually it's a coconut it's a big green smoothie. In fact, here's the remains of my lunch. And so it'll be a coconut, coconut milk, It'll be 2 cups of frozen berries, blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, and strawberries. Maybe some handfuls of spinach or broccoli or cauliflower in there, and a greens powder, or maybe like a raw protein powder like Garden of Life raw meal or raw protein. And that'll be my lunch, and that's a big, I mean, it's 2 of these. So my lunch, it's 2 giant smoothies, in the Vitamix.
Yeah.
And then dinner would be a very sort of, usually a very normal kind of dinner with maybe between 2 and 4 different vegetables, cooked, usually like sweet potatoes, Brussels sprouts, asparagus, something like that.
I love,
brown, black, or red rice, and then maybe some, maybe a piece of organic chicken or salmon or grass-fed beef. So that's pretty much, and I eat the same thing almost every day. Like once I find something I like, I just stick with it.
Do you snack in between the meals?
I really don't snack much because the meals I eat are pretty big, and they really are. They sustain me throughout the day pretty well. If I really feel like a snack, we keep fresh fruit in the house, so I'll have an apple. I might have a handful of nuts, or that's pretty much it. I'm pretty disciplined.
That's good.
On what I eat.
Well, that sounds like a delicious and healthy diet. It is the health, So, as far as cooked and raw vegetables, do you think? Sometimes sweet potatoes you can eat them raw or you can eat them cooked, but in general, like greens. Of course, lettuces we're gonna eat raw, and but things like carrots or beets, you could really do raw or cooked. Or do you think we should try to keep more raw as far as for the like optimum, or like for beets? Of course, vitamin C gets destroyed in most vegetables, but let's say tomatoes, increases in lycopene. Everybody knows that.
When you cook them.
Yeah. But, and there's a couple other things. And as far as anti-nutrients, also people say that when you cook, you eliminate anti-nutrients from some greens because they have protective, as they don't want you to eat them, or bugs, they don't want the bugs to eat them. So, like kale or other things, is healthier actually to steam and, or spinach. So what do you think about that, like raw versus cooked?
I just try to eat both. My diet is probably about 60% raw, on any given day, maybe 50 to 60% raw food, and the other, 40 to 50% cooked. And so I think it's great to get in both ways. Yeah. From everything I've read and researched, there are people who think everything should be eaten raw, but there is actually scientific research that counter that basically counters that idea with documented research that yes, you do not destroy all the nutrients in food when you cook it. Some nutrients are reduced, but then others are more absorbable. Yes. And also, because
you make the fiber softer and it's easier to absorb.
To break down, yeah. And the other thing is, like, if we go back to a cancer patient, the Gerson protocol, which was a stage 4 protocol, that included, it was, 13 glasses of juice every day. But
that's all raw.
That's all raw, of course, but then most of the meals were actually cooked. Because what we found was that raw vegetables, especially, they're very healthy, but they require a lot of energy to break down. And cancer patients have an energy problem. They're low energy, and so cooking vegetables was better. Tons of juice and some cooked vegetables, he found, was better for cancer patients. So I mean, it's just a balance of both. You're just trying to get as overdose on nutrition. You're trying to get as much in there as you can, to flood your body with nutrients.
Highest nutrient ratio per calorie.
Yeah.
That's what we seek.
Yeah, superfoods.
Yeah. And as far as from my own experience, I found that I was eating for a year, more than a year, all raw. And I would have like trouble. My health declined tremendously on Fruitarian Diet. you know, when I was eating nuts and a little bit still sometimes some sashimi, even once a week or one egg or once a month, I was doing good. But once I became, you know, completely fruitarian and raw, and it just, I couldn't absorb the nutrients, first of all, and way too much sugar. I became pre-diabetic, and yes.
What did you eat most of? Were you doing like 30 bananas a day or stuff
well,
like that?
I was doing 30 persimmons a day, 30 bananas a day, oranges. You know, they told me you're doing it wrong, so you have to eat more fruits because, like, you will be fit and like freely and skinny, and you cannot gain weight on this Fruitarian diet. And I gained 25 pounds, so I lost them now thanks to my paleo diet.
Well, you know, it's interesting too, because there are a few people.
Now that I learned the nutrition, I know what works for my body, but I wasn't educated enough, and I believed I was too nice. I mean, I knew there was something fishy, but you know, I did it. I wanted to experiment and see if they lie, if this really works or not.
And I think it's good to experiment. You know, it's good to find out what your body thrives on. And you know, the problem with, you know, with people that are preaching such a strict dogmatic diet like that, or like others, is there are people in the world that can do well on a diet like that. And they assume that because they do well on it, that everyone will do well on it. And that's just not the case.
You know, for example, I am from Eastern European background, where my parents, my ancestors ate a diet that consisted of tubers and meat, potatoes and meat culture, and some dairy products. And I grew up, you know, eating potato pancakes and a lot of vegetables and fruits and tubers and meats, chicken, organic. You know, there's no growth hormones where I grew up. There's still meats, thanks God, much better. Now it's not, it's a lot of foods are imported, and it's getting worse, but it's still, I would say, you know, I was lucky to grow up with my grandmother. She cooked me homemade meals, soups, vegetables all the time, you know, juices, carrot juices. So I grew up extremely healthy, and that's why I have strong constitution. So I'm able now to recover, but I'm still suffering from blood sugar issues. But it's getting better now, thanks God, in 6 months. But I could have been diabetic if I continued.
Yeah, it's great that you did get it figured out before that happened. Because I know sugar, I mean, anything in excess can be a problem, and extreme amounts of fruit sugar can be problematic.
I know. And, you know, we need the protein as well. There is things like CoQ10 and B vitamin complexes and zinc and electrolytes and minerals in seafood and in meats that are not available in all plant-based diet. No matter, I mean, you have to be a nutritionist and basically sit all day and try to figure out, you know, I have to eat this amount of beans and then this amount of this to make these incomplete proteins, to make them complete. And it's for average person, it's just, I think that's extremely hard to do, and even if you try to do that, I don't think it's as optimal as just eating some chicken or...
I agree. You know, the thing about eating animals is animals are very nutrient dense.
Yes.
You know, they're a very nutrient dense food, and that's why, you know, humans that live... I mean, you know, a starving person in an impoverished country can live on a very, very, very low diet of only animals and survive.
Yeah.
You know, and
that's what. So
it is a more efficient way. It's an efficient way to get protein and fat and some minerals and things like that. So yeah, I see the value in it completely. And I think you're right. The problem that even just people that are just going to be vegan, not raw vegan, but just even vegan, still end up with a nutrient deficient diet because they're not paying enough attention to what they're eating.
Yes. They're eating tofu, burgers, and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what I call a junk food vegan.
Yeah.
Where they're the vegan whose main motivation is, I don't want to eat animals.
So
really, a lot of them just make bad dietary choices. So they'll eat anything as long as it doesn't have an animal in it. They'll eat a donut as long as it's vegan. Well, that's not a health promoting, diet.
And, it's just being vegan out of idea is just strange to me. I mean, it's the circle of life, it's the circle of life, and we are the species that if the strongest, the fittest survive in this world, and we have to take care of ourselves, and we have to kill animals sometimes, and that's just the way it is, just to be vegan out of idea. It's it would be nice if it was that way, but it's not the way we evolved, and you just have to accept it.
Well, you were attacked pretty viciously when you
I'm still being attacked every day. Yeah, I'm still being attacked every day, still to this day.
You just can't worry about it. People attack me all the time, too. They think, my cancer story's made up or whatever. I mean, it's just, you name it, somebody will find something to criticize you about. So you just can't worry about it. You just keep doing what you're doing and trying to help people.
And especially fruitarian diet, it's even more dangerous than even cooked vegan diet, in my opinion.
What is?
Fruitarian diet is even more dangerous.
Fruitarianism? Yeah, that's one thing I never experimented with. I'll eat a fruit meal. I can eat 6 bananas for breakfast, and that's fine. But, I've never...
But it's a huge difference, for a first month, even if you're eating all fruit diet. I was eating greens as well, But
do you think there's value to doing it for a week or for a few weeks?
I think there's no value in doing it any amount, no. Maybe for obese person who's trying to lose weight and he doesn't want to eat salads and he eats fruits instead because that's just a little tastier. But other than that, I think you will drive your hunger receptors out of balance, because when you don't get the right macros, your body notices that, and it starts craving all the other things, or it's like you get cravings, or it starts overeating on that nutrient, that one thing, in order to convert fat and trying to get the higher amount of protein. So it starts to crave a lot of even more sugar in order to be able to make fat and to get more protein. And when you eat sugar, you deplete your chromium levels, and that causes more sugar cravings. You get, then the more sugar you eat, the more you deplete the minerals, the chromium, and you crave more sugar, and also you get unstable blood sugar. Even from fruits, you can, if you eat just all day, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and there's no fats, nothing that is more stable, stabilizes, that is slower absorbing and slower digesting than carbohydrates, then your body just is, your blood sugar is always like, it's gets the spike and the low, and then you just drive your hunger receptor. I think, at least for me, right now I'm so sensitive to sugar. I destroyed completely my sugar tolerance. I'm worse than I was before I started Fruitarian Diet. Now I eat and I get low blood sugar after it. I get so low that I could faint, or I could I get the craving, I need immediately to eat something because my blood sugar gets really low after eating sugar.
Yeah. Yes, it's like hypoglycemia.
Yeah, it is hypoglycemia. That's what I have.
Yeah.
And I'm healing now with the fats, the protein, the vegetables. I brought back now carbohydrates because I'm a runner. So I eat before running, during workouts, or after workout, when my insulin works a little bit differently when you're working out. It's actually goes straight into your muscles, so it's not floating there, or it's not getting stored as fat. Or so I choose the right times to eat when I need for my muscles to replenish their glycogen stores. But these are actually the small glycogen. You know, we don't need to store that much. It's like 150 grams, 200 grams of carbs a day that I eat. That's good for me now.
Yeah, that makes sense. You know, I think the biggest message too is, and I'm sure you and I agree on it. And that's why I wanted to talk with you.
Yeah. Is
a whole foods diet.
Yes.
You know, a whole foods diet is the best diet, and
yes.
You know, whole foods diet means stop eating junk food, stop eating processed food, and focus on eating fruits and vegetables and clean meat and maybe a little grain, but whole food from the earth.
Exactly.
You know, and prepared as simply as possible without a bunch of artificial flavors and colors and sauces, and you know.
Yeah.
So for some people, they already know what we're talking about; they're already doing it. And others, it's you know, it's a little bit of a challenge to convert and to just change what you're doing. But the good thing is once you start to change, your tastes will change. And you don't. You
start actually craving these foods. Yeah, you start even craving these foods.
Yeah, and like I said, I eat about the same thing every day. Dinner is different every night, but breakfast and lunch for me, it's the same thing every day.
Yeah.
And I feel good. I have lots of energy. You know, I've figured out what makes me feel good and gives me energy and doesn't make me tired. Because, you know, sometimes certain meals will make you tired.
And
they'll
it's going to be different
energy because they require so much digestive energy that, like, you know, everybody knows, like, if you eat a big Thanksgiving, you know, meal and you stuff yourself and then you just want to go take a nap because all the blood has gone to your digestive tract to, like, work on all this food you took in. So finding those meal combinations, and it's a little different for everybody, but finding those combinations that fill you up and give you energy and don't take a whole lot of digestive power, those really, you know, those work really well for me, like oatmeal and fruit smoothie and stuff like that. And the fruit smoothie has tons of fat in it because of the coconut. Mm-hmm. And that balances it out. It slows down the absorption, and it, you know, kind of regulates the way it flows through.
Yeah, and you mentioned the flax seeds you use. That's great omegas.
I love flaxseed and hemp seed and chia seed and, you know, like walnuts and almonds.
Walnuts is my favorite nut. Yeah. It's good too. It's very good for hunger suppressing the hunger. Walnuts is #1 nut. Cashews are, because some people have problem with nuts, they tend to overeat on them. But okay, so and as far as like supplements, do you take any multivitamins still extra, or any other, like, I don't know, whatever?
Yeah, I take a lot of supplements, and I kind of rotate through them. Like, I was taking a lot of supplements when I was actively trying to heal cancer, working with a nutritionist, and so he had me on a lot of different things. And by the way, for anybody watching this, I do have a website. It's called ChrisBeatCancer.com, and I document, like, you know, my whole anti-cancer diet, and I write blog posts about.
Yeah, you have interviews with other people too.
Yeah, I have interviews with other people. You know, there's lots of stuff on there. But anyway, so now, like, the supplements I'm taking right now today, I'm taking a mushroom supplement. There's a couple that I like. I like Garden of Life RM10. Host Defense is another good one, and Maitake Defraction. So I like those. I don't take them all at the same time, but those are like mushroom supplements I like to boost immune system activity. I'm trying to think of what's down there. I take systemic enzymes. So I take Wobenzyme. Have you heard of that one?
Wobenzyme?
Wobenzyme.
Is it like is it active cultures? Or
it's systemic enzymes like to promote.
It's not like acidobacillus.
No, it's not a probiotic.
No.
But it originated in Germany. It used to be a pharmaceutical enzyme, and now it's, you can buy it as a supplement.
Where is it derived from?
It's from, it's got like pancreatin in it. It's got bromelain, from pineapples. It's got papain from papaya. So those, systemic enzymes.
Yes.
I take those, and I take, I like greens powders, I take that. Garden of Life Perfect Food. And I'll take a probiotic. I like Garden of Life Primal Defense. That's a probiotic with homeostatic soil organisms.
Probiotics is very important.
Yeah. And right now I'm taking a resveratrol and CoQ10. But, again, some of these things I just kind of rotate around.
Yes.
If I could, I'm kind of a supplement junkie. If I could, I would take like 100 a day or something. But so there's a lot of different things that I like to take, but I can't, afford to, nor do I want to take them all.
And it's not good to take them all the time every day.
Yeah. I'll take a day off. I'll take a day or two off and not take anything. Green tea extract is one that I really love to take. Just, lots of stuff like that. Anything that's a whole food supplement, I'll take. I like Quercetin. Take that. I'm taking that right now.
Quercetin, what is it for? I have not tried that one.
So Quercetin is a bioflavonoid that is very, very powerful and very similar to curcumin. So it's anti-inflammatory. It is anti-angiogenic, which keeps tumors from forming new blood vessels. It can cause apoptosis, which is cancer cell suicide. It's just it's an amazing flavonoid that is in apples and onions. It's in lots of fruits and vegetables. It starts with a Q, quercetin.
Okay.
And arguably that and curcumin are the two of the most powerful that we know of that have been thoroughly researched. So I like to take that.
Nice. I will look into it. I have also a big stash of supplements for different days, depending on what I'm doing. If I'm exercising, I'm taking these. If I have a more relaxed day, I'm taking these. If I want to sleep more, I'm taking like GABA or something like that. But yeah, I think and probiotics for gut health, I think people don't get enough of that as well. It's very important to get good probiotics, especially if they don't eat any fermented foods, like sauerkraut. Oh, do you eat fermented foods?
Yes, absolutely. Apple cider vinegar, sauerkraut, kimchi, kombucha. Yeah, I love fermented foods.
Yeah. As far as dairy, do you consume any dairy products?
Yeah, we get raw milk from a woman who has 3 cows, and we'll go. She milks them every morning, and however much milk she gets, and we'll get a gallon, anywhere from 1 to a few gallons a week from her. And it's mainly for the kids. There was a period of time where I was drinking a lot of raw milk, like almost a gallon a day.
Wow.
And I kind of went through a little phase in my life where I drank a lot of it. And now I don't drink as much. So now I might have a glass or two, once a week or something. And then we'll buy raw cheese and eat that occasionally.
I love raw cheese.
Yeah.
To add a little bit on the salad, or you don't have to use a lot of it. It's very flavorful, We just add a little bit. And
Whole Foods even has a couple raw cheeses, which a lot of people don't know. But if you go to Whole Foods and ask, do you have any raw cheese? They usually have.
They have unpasteurized raw cheeses. I actually bought the other day, and some stores, even not Whole Foods, my other store, just maybe here in New York we have bigger selection.
Oh yes.
Pretty health conscious here.
Yeah.
We are lucky with that.
New York is awesome. It's an awesome place to buy health food, that's for sure.
Yeah. Okay. And now, as far like exercise, and do you do any kind of activities, or how?
Yes. Yeah, I trained at a CrossFit gym for 18 months. And then once I really kind of, felt like I knew what I was doing, then I left that gym, and now I just train on my own. But most of what I do now is just powerlifting. So I do bench pressing, squats, deadlifts, overhead press. I'll do the occasional CrossFit WOD. A little bit of running, but I'm not really a runner. I don't do it regularly. Yeah. But exercise is critical to health.
Yes.
You just have to do it.
Another part.
Yeah, I'm a 3-day-a-week, exercise, guy. So 3 days a week, I'm at the gym.
I see.
For less than an hour. So I'm real cautious about not overdoing it, because extreme exercise can be very detrimental.
Yeah.
If you're doing more than 90 minutes a day or running more than 60 miles a week, what's happening is you're...
Well, even where I advise is even more than 25 miles a week is already can be start to cause inflammation and too much. For me, it's 20 miles a week is what I do. More than that starts to really makes me tired all the time, and it messes with my energy levels. And
you're constantly exhausted. You have inflammation that's constant,
you start
and
to
your
have
immune system is suppressed.
Immune system as well.
So that's something that I think we're going to see a lot more of. We are seeing
people start to talk about that. Chronic exercise is not good, as well as no exercise. So the healthy medium, I guess, it's always the best.
Yeah, is you just got to move your body. When you move your body, you're sweating, you're increasing your circulation, you're moving your lymphatic system, you're detoxifying. Like, movement is life, Like, we've got to move. And in fact, there's so many studies about this, but the 70%, you get this statistic, 70% of premature death in America is attributed to 3 factors. That's poor diet, lack of exercise, and tobacco. So those 3 factors make up 70% of the premature deaths. The other 30% of premature deaths come from accidents, homicide, and suicide. So you can't do much about those, but you can the 70% you have control over. So that's actually a really good thing. That is a good thing.
And with the diet, it's also the balance. They created this huge food industry, monstrous, scary thing that they create foods in a lab, but we can blame them for making these foods, but at the end of the day, we are the ones who make the choice, right? And every time we decide to put a refined sugar cookie in our mouth, or eat, conventional like meat, greasy burgers cooked or fried in canola oils and GMOs, we are voting with our money. So I think we are responsible. Yeah.
Well, and you're right. You look at the abundance of organic food that's available now. That's not because they advertised and told everybody they needed to eat organic food. It's because consumers asked for it, and they're demanding it, and they're buying it. And so it's really neat, because in 2003, when I was, or early 2004, when I changed my diet, organic food was pretty scarce. We had a Whole Foods in Memphis, and that was about it. And now you can get organic food at every grocery store. You can get it at Costco. You can get it at Walmart. I mean, it's everywhere. Yeah, you can. I mean, there is in every, like you say, in Costco, Walmart, these chain stores, they all have grocery aisles. They all have meat department where, you can't really, but you now, Applegate Farms, you can find now even organic meat widely available in these chain stores as well. Yeah, it's growing.
And you can find, and if you cannot find organic meat, you can find wild seafood,
Yeah.
And you can always find vegetables. So there's no excuse to buy junk food, really.
There isn't. You're definitely right. I mean, we're to blame. The industry's to blame in one sense, because they have neglected ethically they've selected.
People expect them to be wanting for us the best.
Yeah.
But all they want is how to make more money.
Yeah, they've cut corners. They're using artificial ingredients. They're using, artificial strawberry flavor instead of real strawberries and whatever. So we're to blame for that. But we're also to blame because most of us know, even if you've never taken a nutrition course, most people instinctively know that a home-cooked meal is healthier than McDonald's.
Yeah. So, and as far as you consume some grains, do you consume gluten-free grains? Do you stay away from gluten, or are you okay with that?
I avoid gluten, but I'm not a gluten-free guy. So, most of what I eat are not, I don't really eat sandwiches. So I don't get bread from sandwiches. I don't eat cereal in the morning. I eat oatmeal, which oatmeal
is gluten-free.
Yeah. And so, wheat, the way I've just, when I changed my diet, wheat just became such a very small part of my diet.
And it's low in nutrition as well, so it doesn't make sense to eat it.
We eat way too much bread in our culture.
Oh my God, yes.
It's breakfast it's cereal and muffins.
Everywhere, toasts, croissants,
bagels.
Bagels,
breakfast is all bread.
Pizza.
Lunch is usually pizza or a sandwich, and that's more bread. Dinner is pasta or pizza or
wheat.
Dinner rolls. We just eat way too much bread.
Yeah, it's like wheat, and that's what I try when I try to help clients to lose weight. The biggest problem is they live on breads, they live on wheats, they eat pizza, Italian, which is it's not much anything else, but it's bread with sauce on top of it.
Yeah.
And then they eat pasta. They don't eat real foods. And wheat is addictive, breads, because they contain added, flavorings, sugars, and So, anything else you would like to share? I know, you already shared a little bit about your blog, but so maybe you want to share a bit more, like what kind of interviews you have there, and so that people can check it out, or do you offer any services, or are you? So the blog is just an information blog. I didn't start it to make money. I don't really sell anything on it, but there's a lot of articles, and so it's everything from my anti-cancer diet to recipes and interviews with other natural survivors like me. So there's a whole section of the site that's all people who have healed their cancer using nutrition and natural therapies. Some of them did not do any conventional treatments, and some of them did the conventional treatments and they failed, and then they turned to nutrition and natural therapies and healed. And so, there's a whole section of natural survivor stories on the site. That's probably my favorite part of the site, really, is sharing other people's stories, because they're so powerful. And like your story and my story, I think, me personally, I would rather hear from a real person who did something and how they did it. That's really what I want to know. Yeah. If someone else did it, I figure I can probably do it too. And I told you about that book in the beginning of our little chat here. That's all it took. It just took one person's story to convince me, to give me enough courage to step out in faith and step into the unknown. You know what I mean? Yes. And also, I will come back to that. Like my mom, her doctor, she told her to do a surgery a little bit earlier, but she wanted to. She got discouraged by the other, fake doctor, who said you can do this. Like mentally, cancer is. She didn't really told her about the diet, and then she knew about, she had actually Paul Bragg's book about fasting, and but I don't know why she did not do that. She just didn't do the surgery, and then it was too late you know, got into stage 4 and then they had to do the surgery.
I know why she didn't do it. I can tell you why. Because it's very overwhelming.
Yeah.
I mean, the reality is, when you're taking your health into your own hands, it is such an overwhelming and intimidating proposition that a lot of people, they just cannot motivate themselves to do it. It's too
realize
hard.
It happened to them. Yeah,
it's too hard, and I don't fault your mom for it. Frankly, it's a very normal response that a lot of people would rather just do what the doctor says. You know what I mean? It's just a lot easier. It's just easier just to go to the doctor and, okay, give me the treatment, give me the surgery, and let me go home and keep doing what I'm doing.
But she didn't do that right away. I mean, she didn't do the surgery. She wanted to heal herself, but she didn't have the right information how to do it. And then it was too late, so she had to do the surgery because it was stage 4 already. And yeah, you know, it's so. Thank you for sharing this.
Yeah. Well, my biggest message, I guess, just to close, the biggest message that I would, want to share with anybody, if they're sick, if they have cancer or whatever, is that even though it seems overwhelming and it seems like a lot to learn and you don't know where to start, it really is simple. Healing is a very simple process.
I agree.
And you can do it. And there's so much information out there that, don't be intimidated by it. Just start reading and learning and absorbing it.
Our bodies
the more you take in, it is a process. If you're going to take control of your life and your health, you do have to jump in and start learning things, But if I can do it, you can do it, anyone can do it, It just takes a little time. Again, there's a lot of resources on ChrisBeatCancer.com and on your side, I know. And so, anyway, I appreciate you having me on and taking the time to talk with me and let me share my story with you and your people.
No problem. Yeah, and it's amazing to see how my body has healed again what I did to it and how I have abused it. But it's amazing. We have this information, every single one of us in our DNA to survive and to heal ourselves and ourselves. So yeah. Okay, ChrisBeatCancer.com, right?
Yes.
Great. So I hope you have a great day. And,
you too.
And thanks everybody for watching. I'll see you soon.
Okay. Bye, Jolita.